Good morning everybody. Today's topic of discussion in Standard 10 is absorption through roots. Now, all of you know that water is one of the essential requirements for the plants for various physiological processes. Now, we know that we must know what are the importance of water in plants. So, for example, the major part of the water protoplasm consists of water. So, we say that water is a major constituent of protoplasm. Second is that water is a very good solvent. It helps in dissolving various salts and ions, which helps in absorption through the roots for the requirements of the plant as a micronutrient and macronutrient. Water is also required for, say, the turgidity of the plant, because plants require a lot of water for maintaining the turgidity, and it is also required for various physiological processes, like for example in photosynthesis, water is required in transpiration, for a cooling process in the plant and regulation of the temperature. Now, water is also a very good chemical reactant. As you know, for hydrolysis of proteins and carbohydrates, water does help in breaking down proteins and carbohydrates or hydrolyzing these components or important components of the cell. Now, there are various physiochemical processes which are involved in the absorption of water. Now, this physiological process is not a single process. You know that several processes are there which sums up in the helping in the absorption of water as well as transportation and ascent of sap to plants as high as about, say, 100 feet, 200 feet tall. Now, what are the processes? We are going to learn some of the process today, not all the process. It's not possible in one day. So, we are going to discuss first about imbibition. Now, imbibition is a process, or sometimes we call imbibition, is a process by which hydrophilic substances absorb water. In plant, there are certain carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates like cellulose, like starch. These are hydrophilic compounds. So, they can absorb water and increase in size. Now, through imbibition also, water is absorbed to some amount through the cell wall. It moves through the symplastic and the apoplastic way, and water is absorbed through the cell wall also, because cell wall, the main component cellulose is a hydrophilic substance. Imbibition to help in also increasing the turgidity or increasing the mechanical, volume of the substance, and it helps in breaking down the seed coats. And you must have observed that in rainy season, doors and windows do not close easily because of the imbibition of this wood by absorbing the rainwater. Now, so imbibition is one of the process, and there are several experiments. That if you keep some amount of seeds, gram seeds in a container with little bit of water sprinkled in it, the lid opens due to this imbibitional pressure. Imbibitional pressure is also quite high. Second is the process of diffusion. Now, diffusion is, it takes place between solid, in between liquid, solid, and gas, even through gas and liquids. So, there are various ways, diffusion takes place. Like, for example, you will see in the cold drinks, fizzy drinks, carbon dioxide is diffused inside into the water to form the carbonic acid. Like this, here we are more concerned about the diffusion of certain solutes or diffusion of water also through the cell membrane. Now, cell wall is freely permeable and cell membrane is semi-permeable, or what we call a differentially permeable membrane. Now, diffusion is always taking place from a region of higher concentration of a substance to the region of lower concentration. There is no barrier in between. Like say for example, if you spray some perfume in the room, you will see it diffuses throughout the room. Now that's a diffusion. Or if you put a piece of potassium permanganate crystal in a beaker of water, you will see the color of the potassium permanganate diffuses all through the water and creating a homogeneous solution. It will become totally purple in color. So in diffusion we see that it is movement of the molecule from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Now diffusion is two types. One is called a simple diffusion, another is called a facilitated diffusion. In simple diffusion, usually it moves from a region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. But in some cases, there is facilitated diffusion in the cell membrane. There are certain types of carrier proteins which helps in transporting the certain substance from outside the cell to the inside of the cell. Now that is called a facilitated diffusion. Even in cell membrane there are certain pores of protein molecules called porins which transport substances through this. So in facilitated diffusion, even sometimes there are some acceptor proteins, and these acceptor proteins accept certain molecule, makes a flip and turns the substance to the other side. Now no energy is used. It's also a type of, you can say, a passive process where somebody is carrying it, somebody is facilitating that. Now let us go that know a little bit more about the diffusion. Like in soil water, the solution is of less concentration, and in root here, which is immediate to that, the concentration of solution is higher. We say the diffusion pressure is more where it is less concentrated solution, and in high concentrated solution, the less diffusion pressure. So the movement is always from a more diffusion pressure to the less diffusion pressure. Now this is what we call that if the more diffusion pressure is more, we say it's the lesser diffusion pressure deficit is there, and greater diffusion, higher diffusion pressure deficit is there. We say this is the greater dPd, so it is always movement of the lesser dPd to the greater dPd. Means in lesser dPd, the greater free energy of the molecule is there, so movement is taking from greater to the lesser dPd to greater dPd. Anyway, that is not required much in 10 standard. So you just know that where and how diffusion is taking place. You have to know the diffusion takes place from higher concentrated solution, higher concentrated molecule to a lower concentrated molecule. So it will move from a region through this. Now we go to the third topic, which we call osmosis. Now let us see that in osmosis, what is happening? Every plant cell, usually you will see there are different types of cell organelles, and there is one cell organelle in a plant cell which is called the vacuole. In a newly born cell, you will not see the vacuole to be very, it may be inconspicuous, but in a matured cell you will see a very large vacuole is there. The outer membrane of the vacuole is called the tonoplast, and this contains the cell sap. Now what happens if you take say a piece of potato and put it in water? For some time you will see the dimension of the potato increases. Or if you take a piece of potato, say 1 centimeter cube, 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, and put it into a solution of salt, say 10% salt solution or 20% salt solution, and you keep it, pick it up, dry it, you will see the potato shrinks in size. Now what happens that if we keep a potato in pure water, means in case of distilled water, it increases in size, and if we put it in a salt water, it decreases in size. Now this is because of a phenomenon, and this phenomenon is called osmosis. Now what is that osmosis? We will come to know little bit. Let us know that why it is happening. The diffusion of water across a semi-permeable membrane like a cell membrane is referred to as osmosis. So a plant cell, when it is placed in a solution of which has a less concentrated solution outside, and the cell concentration is more in the plant cell, you will see the molecules of water moves across the cell